Okay, so we're going to create this maintain state here. So I have an index file. I'm going to pass over to another file. So let's create another file here, and we'll call it, like the about page. And so the about page also is going to retain some state. So when I move over from the index to the next page, I should be able to pass those data over. Okay, so this is about page. And let me set something really quick here because strings are really small. Okay, editor, general. Okay. I thought that's pretty big already. All right, so the index page here, let's do the session first. Session, at the very top, usually you want to start right away, turn on the session. So session start. So from when I load this file, it should start a session. And I could say now, you can do right away if you want, or anywhere in the code until a certain area, and you can say from this point on, turn on the session variable. So here I can say here, I'm going to go underscore session. To set a session and retrieve a session is kind of very easy, very different from cookies. It's much easier. Cookies, you have to call two separate functions, or you call a function to set cookies, and then you call a auto globals to retrieve the cookie. But session variable, you just use the same one here. You can use just like a regular parameter. You can use assign the values to it. We use as a readable value. So session, you give it a name of the session, and here I can say page. Okay, so page, or maybe I can say something like okay, well, a page is fine. And we're going to call this is the index page. So just to tell that, I'm in this index page, and so when I go to the about page, I should be able to say, I came from the index page, or I can say this page session ID here, value here, name here has this value called index. It doesn't really matter what you call it, but just to show that example here. So here I'm going to say a really a simple link here, and that's going to go over to the about page. Okay, and this could be your navigation, but for now it's fine. So on the about page, when I go over there, then here also I want to turn on a session. So every page that uses session, you have to issue the start. And then once I start a session, then therefore the sessions are persistent across all your domain, your site. So anywhere, any page that uses a session can retrieve those data. It's like a super or global variable. And here I could put a message saying you came from the, and then I can say here if I want to put an index, I would probably call it index, but for now we call it page, right? Very simple like that. So I should say you came from the index page because I set the index here as the index for the page variable session. So if I save this and if I run this file, the about page, from here I get an error because the session page has not been set. So just to show you that, from this page though, it won't work. Let me see. We'll run it in the browser, and you see that it doesn't have a value from there's no value set for that session. Okay, because it's not been set. But if I go from this page, okay, I'm going to load from here, and here's the about, and if I go to the about page, so did it set? No, it didn't set either. Let's see.
Hard quotes instead of soft quotes.
Oh, that one.
Maybe.
No, I mistyped here. It should be this. Yeah, it's a typo. The new way, I mean, PHP 5, I think PHP 5 is still okay. PHP 7, you have to include this here. If you remember the older version, is you can do that. You can just do equal sign. That would like this, right? This is a shortcut to echo out this variable name. But PHP 7 removes this from here, so you have to explicitly say PHP here, and then the echo. Okay. So yeah, I forgot to put a PHP here. So let's go back and resave this file. Okay, so now you see the index has been restored. So when I set here, it says from the index page, whereas here, it should work now because I already established the session. So if I reload this, you'll see that it came back. Okay, so that's session. If I have another page, I can access the index right away. But so in the index page, I can also want to say here, right below this, I want to say session, and we'll again echo that session. Okay, so to show that on the index page, it lists the session index here. About is the index. Okay, if I go back, it's still the index. But on the index, on the about page, if I go here, and then after this, for example, if I change it to something else, then now this page has been changed, right? Okay, it's live across the server. Doesn't mean it means that when I go back to the home page, it's going to change to about. It's no longer index anymore. Okay, so let's refresh this page. It's about, and if I go to about page, it says index, but now it's going to be changed to about. So when I go back, it changes to it should change to about. Oh, it doesn't. It doesn't because. Why is that? Why doesn't it change to about? It says I start with this, and then it shows that when I go to about page, it replaces it with about. But when I navigate back to the index, it goes back to index because I always going to rewrite that to index, right? So typically when you do this, you want to say if is set session call page. Okay, if that is set, or if that is not set, put it not here. That's not set, then set it, right? Otherwise, don't set it. Okay. So if it's set, then ignore it. Otherwise, set it. Okay, so let's do this again. Reload. So is it the one? Yeah. So here is the index, about, and then there's about. Okay, so it ignores it because it's already been set. So therefore only sets the first time that it's not been set. So if I go back to about and I come back, it should still now it says about. and then if I go back, it's going to stay about for the remainder of the session. Okay, until I reset it. And then if I create another page, you know, maybe like right here, we create a third file. We call this is maybe just call it logout for now. And then logout, again, I want to put session here, session start. And when I log out, all I'm doing is, okay, I want to unset this session, session unset, all of them, and also want to destroy them. Sessions destroyed. Okay, so after that, then I could put a link here. Just go back to the home page. Okay, and let me copy this over to the about page as well. So it okay, so when I log out, it's going to go to that page, but let me add this to the index page about here, and then down here we have a next link is the logout page. Okay. Right, I'm going to refresh this page. I want to start from scratch again. So reload with a new session. This is not the one. Okay, let's do this. Make sure the browser is completely off. Now debugging. Okay, so it's indexed, and then when I go to about, it sets to it should set to about now. If I go back home, it says about. Okay, if I log out and go back home, it sets back to index, right? Because now it's been unset. So therefore, if it's unset, it's set it back to index. And then you go the same cycle here. Okay, back here's about. I can log out, and then once I log out, I can go back to its index page. Okay, so that's how you retain sessions. And to also show that session ID, I could say right here, when the session starts and it set the session here, I could show down here as well, not just the ID. Note the session page, but I can show the session ID here. The session ID. Okay, that would be displayed to the browser, and I also can echo this out to the console, so we can see here. So I can say, if you're familiar with JavaScript, say console log the following. So I can have a mix of PHP and so on. So echo the session ID to the console, and then oops. It's a function. Okay, so it's going to log out to the console. Alright, save, and then I'm going to copy this over to every other page so you can see that the session should still be the same throughout all those pages. Okay, so from the home page, so this is ID, it generates it for us. If I go to wait, let me do this. Let me copy this over to other pages as well. Maybe should have done that. Okay, so the About page, if you notice, this ID is exactly the same. It doesn't change. It's a session ID that is generated by the browser, by the server. And if I log out, then you see the session ID is gone. Okay, if I go back home, it generates the same session ID because I'm still on the same browser here. So let me just copy this to a sticky note here so you can see. That's the number there. Okay, and now I'm gonna close the browser and then reload from here. It should have a separate, a different session ID now. Yeah, right? So as you can see, it's different now. And it generates it every time, only when you close the browser completely. Okay? And this is also, this is why it's important sometimes when you log out of the site, it asks you to make sure you close the browser completely to destroy the session from memory. But so this is how you can use session variables to pass data from one page to the other. So by doing this way, you can check it when the user logs in. Then you can say, oh, if session ID is set, and then if it's equal to a login or the user ID name matches your database name, then you save that as a session ID, and so you can see throughout this page, and you can verify that the user has been logged onto the site. Okay, you can even store this session ID here to a database, and then or even to a local storage or cookie, and then use that for the live session. But this is not really the way to do it. It's just that when you set sessions, you will use one of these unique names to store information. So this could be like when I log into the site, instead of page, I should say user or login. If login is true, then I don't need to show anymore. So if page is true, then show this, otherwise don't show that. So this logout, I can say like, if session page if is set, if the session page is set, right, then show logout, otherwise don't. Okay. Okay, so if that is set, then show logout, otherwise don't. And I don't really like this. I would just probably do an echo. You do echo is better. So say echo, all of that. And then only show the logout when I'm not signed in. Otherwise, once I'm signed in. If otherwise, don't show that file, that link. Let's close this. So it shows the logout, right? And if I go into the about, if I log out, go back home, well, it still shows because I set the session ID here. I set it here.
You know what algorithm they're using? The default algorithm for the session generation, or is it just a random string generation?
Oh, the string?
Yeah.
It's a random. Yeah, it's a random generated by the server. I'm sure inside PHP there's a function to generate that. But you can generate your own if you want, right? This is just the one that provided by PHP. So as you can see, the string is not long enough. If you want to be really long, then you use those hash and yeah, use a hash and then generate that.
Generator if you wanted to.
Yeah, and then use that as a session ID. It's much longer and more secure. So okay, so that's session ID, and then cookie is you know, cookie is it's pretty straightforward. So as you can see, if I go here, if I view a the source view here, we put on the right side. Okay, so I don't have any cookies for this site. Okay, I have the local here, but it really there's nothing here. So I have this session ID here, which is this one right here. The same number here is stored inside these PHP sesh ID. And so I don't have any cookies. So let's write a cookie file to save some information. So here, up here, I can say, you know, set cookie. You give a cookie name. You can say, like the one in the example here, you can say profession here. And I'm going to say, just for example, you know, teacher. So that's cookie has been set. If I run it now, okay, refresh this page. You can see that the cookie is named profession and the value is teacher. Okay, so it saves into that file, and I can refresh this every time. It's going to reset it to that cookie, and it has no expiration. If I want to show all this information here. So the size is, it tells you how big it is. The domain, it's in the local host, and the path is under this folder unit file. This is default. And expiration here, as you can see, there's no, I don't have any expiration here. But so when I get that, set the cookie, I can set another one, and I can set here maybe like food equals pizza. And if I reload this, so I have a second set of cookie. It's called food and has pizza. Yeah. So you can see that I can generate, and I can have a lot of cookies in here. The book says you can have anywhere between 20 and 70 cookie files, which is about average about 40, 50 cookies. It's not really efficient if you do that. You want to do is you can set so that in here, if it's applied to only one person or one category, then you want to say, you know, this person, or here, use as an array. This is the maybe like occupation or job is teacher. The same cookie name, you know, and the name is whatever it is. I can say Christian for me. And then I have, and so on. Okay, so save, reload, and then you see that the cookie has profession, name, profession, occupation. It's the same cookie, but you use an index of the name, so it's like an associate array. So how do we retrieve this information back? And to retrieve this information back, you would use the cookie global, super global. So down here. Oh, the reason why I put this here is I also want to output the session ID to the console. So that means when I look at the console, you see that the session ID is shown here as well. Okay, because this points to the console. If I move to other pages, you see that the cookie session ID is still the same. Okay, but since I put it here, and there's no point doing that, but you can do that. Usually you do that for debugging purposes. You can kind of see what's going on at that instance. Okay, so to store a cookie, I can do this way. I'll say cookie. If you want to see all the cookies, then you can do it this way. You could do like you can pre-format in here. I want to say echo the cookie. The cookie's name is profession. Oops. So cookie is an array, and then profession is the name. And I'm not worried about the index here. So here I'll click save, and the index page, I refresh, and it should show me, oops, I have a conversion line 40. Oh, I need to do an echo. I need to do a var dump. Okay, a variable dump. Variable dump would dump the array to the browser. So refresh. So here's my cookie as an array of two elements. Occupation is teacher, and the name is Christian. Okay, so you can see that that cookie has those information. And if I just so to retrieve those cookies, now I can do this. Oops. So if I want to retrieve the occupation, then you can say, give me the cookie, oops, the $, cookie profession. And remember, this is an array, so the index of, I call it occupation. So you have to match the index there. And that should load the occupation for this person or this cookie. Okay? And then if you want to load the other one, which is food, then you just put the food here. Okay? And if you refresh, okay, undefined index, occupation, profession, cookie. Did I do something wrong here? Oh, yeah, no, I can't do it this way, I'm sorry. In cookies, it's different because it's not an array. This is how you do it. You need to do it this way. Separate brackets. So the cookie name, the index, cookie name, index. Okay, so save and then reload. So here is, well, I have a typo here, but you can see the occupation is teacher, and then the second part is supposed to be my name, or no, it's not food. Food is not found in there. Sorry, name. I was thinking of a different cookie. So, and a typo here. All right. So here it is, occupation and then the name. And then you can check again, once you do that, then you can store the cookie, you can verify that, authenticate that through your database, right? Make sure the database it matches. If it does, then you can retrieve information and so on. Much quicker than going through the whole process of querying all this data from the database. So the cookie makes it much faster to retrieve information from the user. Okay, any questions on the cookies or session IDs, session variables? Okay, so with this one, you can have a pretty good, idea of how to, tackle your final project using session variables and so on. Okay. Okay, we want to take a break. We'll take a 10-minute break. We'll come back and then we're just going to cover a little bit on the forms, and I think we should be done for today.